Nigeria has changed since she became a democratic nation in 1999?
Like, for instance, you had the loots from the former Haiti leader, Papa Doc Duvalia, the Mobutu, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and all these other leaders. None was able to recall the loots, but Nigeria was able to, recall some of our loots and plow back to the economy. I think that's a positive note on which we must be commended, and what has happened since after 1999. So, having achieved 50 years in the life of our country, which could be little, I think the Western media must begin to address us from a reform of the next 50 years, what we hope to achieve. That way, it's going to be in our present that we are now doing things according to global standards, and we're beginning to adapt to changes, and our people are beginning to see that they are a great people, and the exodus must be now to go home and help, like the Jonathan government, achieve the transformation it is talking about. Let me get
excellent. I'm so glad that you said that. But you see, you really talked very well about Nigeria. But I find that you've talked about 1999 to probably the point of 2007. Like, we don't want to give the impression that like things have been happening in the past in Nigeria. What's this current administration doing? The administration that's in power in Nigeria at the federal level. Are they really doing anything? Do they have achievements? Do they have are their plans and visions, coming into effect and having positive effects on Nigerians?
Oh yes. Well, let us admit it, which we know that all over the world there has been a recession, but the current administration under President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan has been able to achieve an 8.2% GDP in the last leg of the 2010.
Wow, an 8.29% GDP growth?
That's a great one. That's a great one.
That's excellent.
The promise, or rather the progress made in our economy, has encouraged companies like MasterCard to site its headquarters for the East and West African region in Nigeria.
That's true, but apart from doing that, they also appointed a Nigerian, Daniel Monehin,
yes,
as the head of operations,
yes,
like the overall boss for those operations.
Yes. So so it's like we're evolving so fast, and you must have also heard about the stability in our banks, which has created so many opportunities for us to do business. And the greatest thing also the Jonathan administration has done is to give a bailout to the textile industry, especially the United Nigeria Textile PLC in Kaduna and other textile companies. This has further created an avenue to create about 10,000 jobs. And I think for wealth creation of this magnitude, if there are other bailouts in some other sectors of the economy, you can see this administration has positioned itself to ensure that the economy is grown to an appreciable level, and the Nigerians will begin to breathe that sigh of relief that transformation has come. So it's a plus for the Jonathan government. And Nigerians who are outside the shores of our land must begin to take into cognizance that this government is real, and this government delivers on its promises and needs every encouragement from Nigerians who live outside and those who live within to come on board. It's not a one-man job, but the train of transformation is moving very fast.
That's all well and good, but we need education. I believe the last year the results from WAEC and NECO were abysmal. It was nothing to write home about. And I, for one, I won't be happy with this administration if they don't do anything about education. Have they done something about education?
Yes. The beauty of the vision of Mr. President Jonathan is that for the first time, education has received more allocation than any other ministry. During the civilian military administration, defense used to have the highest budget. And you look at the logic. We were never at war, and defense had the largest budget. Right now, President Jonathan has given the highest budget to education, and that means like we normally say, the heart of education is the education of the heart. So Mr. President means well when he says education stands a pride of place in our economy, because through education we can drive a whole lot of things.
10 minutes ago. Wow, I'll start again. Wow, that's excellent, I mean, I really like that. I believe that the amount allocated to education was actually 3 times the amount allocated to defense.
By UNICEF
standards, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So that's excellent. But, like, what about something like transportation? Like, there's too much emphasis. I mean, from my opinion, there's too much emphasis on road transportation in Nigeria. What about aviation? What about railways?
Right now we have an alternative to road transportation. Mr. President, on Saturday last week, I had the privilege of having a train ride with Mr. President from Ebutamete Junction or Ebutamete Station in Lagos to Abeokuta. And it was less than a 2-hour ride. But you find that it was some way that Mr. President wants to take the strain and stress off the road, so that we have not huge amounts again being expended on the road, whereas the rail area is suffering. And also Mr. President used that occasion of that train ride to commission 25 brand new diesel engines. Wow. And that's going to help in the economy. When you also talked about there are modes of transport, I think Nigeria has recorded about 300% increase between here and the United States. And I think all this are meant to, galvanize the economy, bring in more spaces here and there, and generate more jobs. So kudos to Mr. President.
Wow, this is excellent, like, I'm hearing all of this is excellent. I'm so glad that, like the Western world, foreigners, and, Nigerians in diaspora, as well as Nigerians at home are hearing this. Kanayo, it's been a pleasure talking to you, it's really been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Before you sign off, I'm very optimistic. I've never been this optimistic about Nigeria, because I know and I believe that we must have a leader who has track records, who is bold, who is committed. And I think, and I want to assure every Nigerian, whether you live in Nigeria or you live outside, Jonathan Ebele Azikiwe, good luck, means well for Nigeria. And I think he has a commitment to deliver. I want all of us to know one thing. Mr. President has taken off in the train, and written on that train is transformation. And he beckons on every Nigerian to say, come into this train. We can achieve it. We can do it. We're all Nigerians. That Nigerian spirit must not be allowed to die, And I think if we all heed the call of Mr. President, Nigeria will be a nation we can all be proud of. And I want to see a lot of guys who are Nigerians in the United States, Europe, other parts of the world, begin to tap into the vision of Mr. President. And I assure you, in the last 3-4 years, a lot of Nigerians who are domiciled outside the United States will start coming back home. Then we will have Nigerians who want to go abroad because they want to go on a holiday or to have an expertise to want to.
Excellent, but you see, I want this to be, I don't want this to be like a Jonathan affair, because to be honest, I've interviewed most of the presidential candidates. Malam Nuhu Ribadu is a friend of mine. I've interviewed him. The interview was projected live in Nigeria. I've also interviewed Dr. Patutomi, and I've interviewed Malam Ibrahim Shekara. In actual fact, I interviewed him not very far from here, and I know that these are, they are nice gentlemen. I'm very optimistic about Nigeria, because this election is throwing up, the best. You have good luck, Jonathan, like you said, and he's achieved, tremendous things. But I don't want to, just focus on him and then forget about the opposition. We have tremendous candidates, and there's a lot of promise for Nigeria. And on that note, this is Reno Omokri for Build Up Nigeria saying thank you.